Greetings, welcome back to my channel. This is stasiabliss, where we talk about Kundalini awakenings and life force management. Today I am recording on the eve of the flower full moon in Sagittarius. This is a particularly special full moon to me. 22 years ago in a couple of days, but it was on this moon that I actually went through a name change. So I'm going to tell that story today, and then I thought I'd pull some cards for y'all for this beautiful time with the Sagittarius full moon, since I'm a Sagittarius, and we'll make it a Kundalini reading. So we're going to read the Kundalini awakening. Of course, this is a collective reading, so it may not be like super specific to you, so you're just going to take what resonates for you, leave the rest. And if you are wanting a personal reading for this time, new moons, full moons, always great time to get a reading, especially if you're curious where Sagittarius is falling in your chart. You might look at, what's being highlighted by this full moon for you. So Sagittarius for the collective is the guru, right? The teacher, the visionary, the archer, the one who's looking far ahead for the collective and translating some of the wisdom of that vision, right? So as your Sagittarian Galactic Center guide today, I'm pleased to be with you. I've got some beautiful yoga cards I'm going to use by Sahara Rose. Her deck is lovely. And then we'll also look at some herbal tarot and see what herbs and messages from the tarot are showing up. And I have the I Ching and the runes here too, and we'll see. I am offering personal readings right now, and they're always done on a by donation basis. So if you feel like there's a time in your life that you're hitting that you're not really sure of a direction or where to go or what's really going on, readings can be really confirming and clarifying to what you're already thinking or what you know deep inside, let's say. So I'm just shuffling some of the decks. Of course, this day that I'm recording on is Wednesday. It's a mercurial day. And if you're not listening on Wednesday, that's fine. But please know also Mercury is lending its influence to your life today. But no matter when you are watching this, as so many channels like to say, this is a timeless reading, right? Whenever you're getting the effects of this flower moon, this Sagittarius full moon, are hitting your life. So with that being said, I'll take some of my Phenetemons, cherry cola. I used to love cherry Coke back in the day. And I don't do sodas too much, but this is like some health food store thing. I thought I'd check it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and invite in spirit, which is always present, but when we name a thing, we make it real, right? So God, angels, witnesses, that which knows us and loves us for who we truly are. Highest vision of the Sagittarian full moon for the collective. What is a theme that we want to be looking at or that we can focus on to assist in this process? And maybe I think the first question is, what is the emphasis of this full moon on the collective awakening? What is this full moon? How is it influencing the collective Kundalini awakening that's going on? So let's see what comes here. Let's take that one. Ooh, Tantra. Talk a little bit more about that today. Anything else? Interesting. Tantra does kind of go with the scorpionic vibe, but Tantra is also mental liberation. So depending on what aspect you're talking about, Tantra, remember, is a liberation of the mental attitudes to allow one to look farther than one has. So that's very Sagittarian as well. Scorpio might be like the sexual part of Tantra, but Tantra in general is mental liberation, which is Sagittarian. So this full moon, some thought pattern that you have been holding on to, that's been a safe hold, a strong hold maybe, is wanting to be expanded Jupiter, which is the ruling planet of Sagittarius, rules expansion. And Jupiter just moved into Gemini just a couple of days ago, which is the bearer of the sun shining on this full moon. So we definitely have that Gemini Sagittarian axis. So yeah, the place where Jupiter's sitting now, expanding, right? Bringing the wisdom to let you see what needs to be liberated, what mental concept needs to be liberated, right? Okay, let's get a little more clarity on that for the collective using our Herbal Tarot. There's 2 cards. Right away, I love the way the cards read the life force energy. Okay, Ace of Wands. Ooh, and the herb is yarrow. I love this herb. This herb has a hollow tube, and so it is thought to be, you know, connecting heaven and earth. And it's used for much wound healing. So we do have Mars that's just moved into Aries and getting ready to cross over Chiron, which is the wounded healer. And then yarrow is good for a lot of things, stopping the bleeding, for one thing, traditionally used for that. But spiritually speaking, it's connecting heaven and earth, right? This Wands energy is something new, something exciting, something creative or romantic, but in the Kundalini sense, it is new life force energy. So we're getting a new burst of life force energy. The Tantra card could also indicate relationships, like highlighting relationships, because there is relationship depicted in this card. And then we also have the Knight of Pentacles, which actually I picked it up in reverse. So we'll kind of look at both aspects of that with Elekampe. So Elekampe is often used to like remove congestion, okay, throat or lungs. And so interesting because Knight of Pentacles, Knights are rushing in, excited to move into something new. And with Pentacles, like a new reality, right? Excited to move into this new reality, but there's an upside down, right? So that might be suggesting with the Elekampe, where are we still holding back? Like where do we have congestion where we're trying to expand, right? Where that Kundalini is trying to reach up and newly touch parts of our being. So we can, again, in Tantra, that's the union of Shiva Shakti, which is the 2 poles in the body. So we are seeing a new influx of life force in this full moon that's awakening these 2 faculties to have that inner conjunction or inner marriage. Oh, I want to pull some runes. Let's get some runes to clarify further the Kundalini, this new Kundalini that's activating this Shiva Shakti inner marriage. Excited to create a new reality, move in the congestion. What is the cycle we're moving into? Okay, with the runes, we have the Otella rune. This is the inheritance of the ancestors. And we also have Kanaz. Kanaz is the enlightenment rune, and it is like illuminating, okay? So illuminating what we've inherited from the ancestors or what we are inheriting. So in this process of this new life force that's awakening in all of us, that this full moon is helping to highlight or shine the light on, that we're excited to run in and build this new reality, but there is something we need to look at, some congestion there before we're really able to have this full liberating experience of the mind. So this is saying like looking at the ancestral gifts. You know, sometimes we want to look beyond what the family has and like do our own thing, especially in our awakening, if our family's not on board, you know. But this is seeing the gifts that the family has brought to you. So maybe some shadow work there around the gifts. But Kanaz is more like, you know, of course, illumination is what we do to the shadow. We go, we shine a light on it. You know, the full moon is like, there's no piece of the moon that we normally see that's left unilluminated. The full moon is illuminating all of it. So we're illuminating, and in many ways that the Futhrux are laid out for the runes, this would be the final one. Sometimes it's Dages, but oftentimes Otella is seen as the finale before a new cycle. And of course, Dages means a bold, radical change anyway. So whether that's before or after this one, this moon is illuminating for us our ancestral heritage, our inheritance. And it urges us to look into the stream of our heritage, to illuminate it, to shine the light on it, you know, to maybe look at the stories, to look back at the way you were raised or what the ancestors were all about, or maybe you want to get a reading about that or do some ancestral clearing to see what comes up. And there's some gifts there that would like to be integrated in order to make this Kundalini awakening experience easier, because as the flow is trying to move up and have that inner conjunction, that inner marriage where, boom, the mind opens and we see bigger. The things that might block that, sometimes they're inherited blocks. And that's where like the body code and emotion code work can be so great, because it can pinpoint even inherited patterns and help release those so that the flow is better. Okay, so let's end this video and this reading. Keep it nice and short for everyone who just likes to pop in here for the I Ching. And this is the point of change, right? This is the cards of change, highlighting what change this full moon is bringing with our life force energy. So the I Ching does talk about the Chi. So all the hexagrams are elemental in nature. And first of all, just look at this one. Before you know anything else about it, look at the 6 lines and how they're playing, right? So the broken lines are yin and the solid lines are yang. So we have the masculine and feminine there, and the yin is on top and bottom. So this is kind of where we're coming into this full moon. And then this is how we're coming out of this full moon. So noticing just the pattern alone. If we look at that idea of congestion with the Alicampe, and we are applying that medicine, right, that the Knight of Pentacles brings also, which is like an excitement for a new reality, but like needing to check out where we're holding back. And we check that out and we address that and we breathe into the spine and we connect heaven to earth through the spine. The wands also represent the spinal cord. The arrow is the spine, the hollow tube. When we connect here, then look, we move from just having maybe like the top and bottom open to receive, to having a little bit more channel up the central column. So this is indicating some grounding because that top is not open here. So we're moving here, and now we've got some center points that are receptive. So that might indicate opening the heart more. Okay, you might think your heart's open, but this is suggesting maybe there's some places to still open the heart. So let's read what these have to say in their poetic verse, because I love the poetic verse, and then we'll wrap this video up. Oh, I have to tell you my name change story real quick too. So we'll end with that. So 28 is Ta Kuo, and it means preponderance of the great. So this is the energy we're going into this full moon with for the collective awakening. We have lake above, and below is wind. So the wind is also signified by trees. So a lake rises above trees, and it's saying there's a need for action. Okay, there's a need for action. And the Knight of Pentacles, even though it's reversed because there is a need for action. We got to open something up. We got to clarify something. It says the lake overflows its boundaries and covers the trees. Such an exceptional occurrence cannot be ignored or denied. The situation requires swift action. Success is assured if experienced people are called upon to help. This is not a time to stand on your own. So something is overflowing with the fullness of the moon, And if we act on what we feel and see, and maybe we need a hand doing that, maybe a guide of some kind, then we move to the success, which comes with card 53, Chien, which is gradual development. So gradual development is wind above now instead of below. So the wind moved up, right? And now we have mountain below. So where we had lake with wind under, the lake, it overflowed, and now we have mountain and wind at the top. This says trees do not grow overnight, and a tree on a mountain faces particular challenges of wind and weather. Any expectation of rapid growth is unrealistic, and it is the slowness of a tree's growth that gives us strength. A great endeavor takes time to gather its resources, influence the people, and plan the right action. High aspirations will be achieved, but only in their proper situation and proper season. Haste will not further the situation. This really lines up with the Leo King's advice too on the planetary movements right now. Like, there are things to act on, but not hastily. It's not going to be like a quick thing. We're doing the endurance game, right? So Sagittarian energy moves into Capricorn, right? We move from this, we got this idea, we see this thing. We have Jupiter here nourishing those ideas and thoughts, right? And we see what needs to be done, we act upon it, right? But only like the beginning steps, right? We start to gather the resources, we start to make the plan, we start to pull that arrow back and make our intention. And then as the energy moves forward from this full moon, we know there is like a Capricornian energy behind it, which is this could take some time of building. You have the vision, but it's not there instantly. So not to expect it to be that fast. This is a visionary time to see a future and to feel what that blossoming feels like inside. And then we come back and we do the work around that, right? So there's some beautiful visionary energy. Again, I think looking at the ancestors or looking at those who've become before us, and that might be not just our family, but humanity. Like, where is humanity? And where are we in that stream? And if we can take some time to take note, how do I bring more divine union in myself, my masculine and feminine together? How do I come together with my partner? How do I come together with my magical side and my practical side, right? And allow the new life force in to start creating this beautiful new reality. So that is your full moon Sagittarian collective reading. If you're interested in a private reading, then please do let me know. My email is below, and I'll be carrying that on through the weekend. So real quick, I end with just a little taste of my name change story. So I grew up as Melissa. Melissa is my given name. I had no middle name growing up. I had been married in 1997. Really, young Mormon girl doing what I was, raised to do, and got into that and realized that was not, that did not have the Sagittarian potential that I was feeling for myself. So that first marriage ended. I still had my husband's last name. I traveled the first time to India, and I went through such a big transformation during that trip. It was almost a year-long trip, about 11 months throughout Southeast Asia, Thailand, and Cambodia, and Indonesia, and finally sometime in India, and I just changed so much. So I also did some plant medicine journeys, and I felt like such a different girl than Melissa. So when I came home, and it was this time of year, I just felt like, and this was in 2002, that I needed a different name. I had a different name. I had a different way to reference myself. And so I've been really like meditating on it, opening my heart to it, talking to God, like, if I have another name, like, let me know what it is. And so it was just a couple of days prior, maybe a week before this full moon, which in 2002, that was a partial eclipse, a lunar eclipse on that Sagittarian full moon. And I decided, since I'm a Sagittarius, that the Sagittarian full moon in Gemini, which Gemini is my rising sign, would be a perfect rebirthing day for me. So I looked it up, and the exact time was at like 4:08 a.m. But anyway, like before the ceremony occurred, I was at a beautiful 11-piece harmonic orchestra band one night, and listening to the music, and I just had this sort of like existential moment with the music and with the divine, and I just heard Stasia Bliss, and it just like shuddered through my whole body, and I was like, yeah, that's my name. And I didn't get rid of Melissa. Melissa is still my first given name, and Stasia became my middle name, and I dropped my married last name, and became Bliss in 2002 on May 26th. So I attended that lunar partial eclipse at 4:08 a.m. in my backyard with all the accoutrements that one can imagine accompanies a birth. I'll leave that to your imagination. And had a ceremony for myself, which ended with, my boyfriend at the time spraying me down with a hose to symbolize some of the newness and the shock into the world. And I came in, bundled myself up, and I lit candles, and I said a prayer and a blessing, and I renamed myself. And since that day, becoming a different name is a huge experience, very transformational experience. And there was a lot to step into by calling myself Bliss. And later I recognized and realized that Melissa actually was a spiritual name too. And the Melissae in the cultures of old were the keepers of the temple, the priestesses of the temple. And so I realized that it was actually a title, and I grew into that title of the Melissae. And it's part of my practice as a minister and as a shaman. And Stasia I learned as short for Anastasia, but actually translates to resurrection. So it was kind of a profound moment for me to experience that. So 22 years ago, that was my life transformation at this full moon. So it's just an honor for me to share it with anyone who wants a personal reading. I appreciate you being here. And if you liked this and you think someone else could benefit from it, then please do share. And I will see you again tomorrow. Much love to you. We'll be back on the full moon. We'll chat a little bit more, and namaste.